You ever have that feeling in an exam where you know the answer, but you just don't get the marks you thought you would? Yeah, it's frustrating. Well, it turns out it's not always about what you know, it's about how you say it. So today, we're going to crack open a real exam question and show you the secret to getting full marks. And the secret is learning to think like the examiner. All right, let's just dive right in. We're going to look at a classic question from the OCR GCSE computer science paper. Now, this is the kind of question that trips up a ton of students. But honestly, it's a perfect example of how you can score some really easy marks if you know the trick. So, the real challenge here, it isn't just knowing the difference between a compiler and an interpreter. I mean, you've probably revised that. The real test, the thing that separates the grades, is explaining it clearly, concisely, and this is the big one, giving the examiner exactly what they're looking for, all while that clock is ticking down. Okay, so here is the question word for word. Describe the benefits of using a compiler instead of an interpreter when writing a program. Now, look closely. See that little bit in the brackets, 3 marks? That's not just a number, that's your biggest clue right there. It's the examiner basically telling you, hey, I need exactly 3 separate, well-explained points. No more, no less. But wait, before you even think about putting pen to paper, the absolute first stop is to decode what the examiner is really asking for. And trust me, the secret is always, always hidden in the keywords of the question. So let's break these down. First, you see the word describe. That's a trigger word. It means don't just give me a bullet point list. They want some detail. Then you've got benefits. Super simple. They only want the good stuff, the advantages. And finally, the most important part, compiler instead of an interpreter. That tells you this has to be a direct comparison. If you just talk about compilers in isolation, you're going to lose marks. Okay, so with all that in mind, what does a perfect 3-mark answer actually look like? Well, the great news is we don't have to guess. We can go straight to the source, the holy grail of exam prep, the official mark scheme. And here they are, the 3 golden points that will get you full marks. Number 1, it creates a standalone executable file. Number 2, the program runs faster for the user. And number 3, it protects your original source code. Sounds pretty simple, right? But the real key, the thing that will make you remember this, is understanding why these 3 specific points are the ones that matter. Yeah, just memorizing that list isn't really going to cut it for long-term understanding. To really get this, we need to dig into why these are the exact points the examiners are trained to look for. All right, first up, benefit number 1 is all about speed. And I'm not talking about how fast you can code. I'm talking about the performance, how fast the program actually runs for the person on the other end. Now, check out the exact wording from the mark scheme. It says the program/code runs/executes faster. And see that little bit in parentheses, then interpreted version? That's not just a side note. That's the examiner screaming, make the comparison. If you add that little detail, it shows you've read the question properly. So why is it faster? Well, think of it like this. A compiler is like a professional book translator. They take the whole book, translate it into another language once, and then you have a finished copy you can read over and over. An interpreter, on the other hand, is like having someone whispering the translation in your ear, line by line, every single time you read the book. It's obvious which one is going to be faster in the long run, right? Okay, next point. This one is all about a really practical problem every programmer faces. How do you actually share your awesome program with the world? Easily, and without it looking amateur. And again, look at the exact phrase they want. Can produce an executable file. That word executable is key. An executable is a self-contained program that just runs. Using that specific term shows the examiner you know your stuff. And this is a huge deal for the end user. It means your friend doesn't have to go and install Python or some special software just to play the game you made. Nope. You just send them one file. They double-click it. It works. That's it. It just feels professional. And finally, let's talk about benefit number 3, security. I mean, you've spent weeks, maybe months working on your code. The very last thing you want is for someone to just take it. The mark scheme connects these dots perfectly. It says, end users have no access to source code, which means they cannot steal, copy, modify it. This is an absolutely critical concept for anyone thinking about selling software one day. Let me put it another way. Giving someone a compiled program is like giving them a finished cake. They can eat it, they can enjoy it, but they don't know how you made it. Giving them interpreted code is like giving them the recipe. Now they can go and open up their own bakery right next to yours using your secret ingredient. Your code is your intellectual property, and a compiler acts like a lockbox to protect it. So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? This is about way more than just compilers versus interpreters. This is about unlocking your exam superpower, and that superpower is learning to think just like the person holding the red pen. This slide really lays out the whole game. On the left, you've got the typical student thinking, okay, what do I know about compilers? I'll just write it all down. But on the right, that's the examiner's brain. It's a simple checklist. They're not looking for a beautiful essay. They are literally looking for specific phrases to tick off. Your job isn't to wow them with your knowledge. It's just to tick their boxes. And that brings us to your new secret weapon, your new revision strategy. Start looking at old mark schemes. Seriously. It is not cheating. It's like being handed the rule book before the championship game. You learn the exact words, the exact concepts that are guaranteed to get you points. It makes your revision so much more effective. And hey, this doesn't just work for computer science. This technique applies to basically any subject with a mark scheme: history, biology, you name it. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what other exam questions, what other subjects could you absolutely master just by starting to study that mark scheme?